Welcome back. I did break 1300 once again for my second time, as you can see from my rapid rating down there in the corner. These two games were very different from each other. One put me just above 1300 and one went a little higher. And you can see from these charts that are produced by the Game Review, which I have made screenshots of here, you can see that the first one, which is the one at the top, has lots of ups and downs, lots of blunders and mistakes. I was black in both games, and both games were Caro-Kann defenses. So there was a similarity. And they have the similarity that white had an advantage early and I had an advantage late. But other than that, you can see from these graphs that the games were very different. Whereas the first one went up and down, both of us made lots of mistakes. And the second one, there was just a couple of really important points. According to these graphs, I haven't gone through the game reviews yet, so I'm about to do that now. Hopefully you'll stick with me and one or more of us will learn something. Let's go. Okay, this is the first game. And as I said, it opened with the Caro-Kann. I'm just going to go through with the evaluation bar hopping up and down and until I find a place, and then I'll speed that up in editing. So feel free to come with me until we see where one of the mistakes is, and we'll try to figure out what I should have played instead. Okay, right here, the evaluation bar just jumped heavily in favor of my opponent when I checked here. And I think I know why. I think that's because they can block the check with the bishop, which threatens my queen, and I have to get my queen out of there, and then they're going to win my knight. So let's back up here. One move before that, it was at 0.6 or so, which is fairly normal, 0.4, which is actually pretty good this early in the Caro-Kann defense. So I'm guessing I probably should have taken that pawn, or should I have taken the knight? I'm going to go ahead and say I should have taken the knight. If I took the knight and they took back with their queen, then I could take this pawn with tempo, threatening the queen, forcing it to move, and then be able to move the knight somewhere else. Not sure exactly where. But alternatively, if I had taken this pawn, they could take it with the queen. So that's maybe not that great. Then I could take their knight here, and that would mess up their pawn structure, but I would still be a piece down. So I'm wondering here if I shouldn't either undevelop this knight or move it out there. I really don't know. It says it's 0.7, so I'm not in that bad a shape. But maybe I should take the knight first, which forces a reaction of one kind or another, and then do something with the knight. So if I took here and they took with the pawn, then I would still need to move this knight. And if I took here and they took with the queen, then I could move the knight, but maybe by taking the pawn or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm going to guess it's taking the knight first here, and I'm going to click the lines to see what it was. It was taking the knight. That's the only move that doesn't put me, make it worse than +1. And knight to b8 was my third best move, but that's almost as bad as what I did, which was putting the queen out there. And I'm honestly surprised that the computer says that this is the best move, putting the knight out there, because I thought for sure that they would block with the bishop, which is a direct threat on my queen. But I don't know. I guess if they had blocked, if they had blocked with the bishop, I could still take here and be threatening their queen. And then if they took my queen, I would take theirs or something. But they did block with the knight here. Did I make a mistake right after that? Yeah, they blocked with the knight here. And then I further compounded my error. Right here, my best move was to put the knight into b4, it says. I guess that would be threatening this pawn. But what I did here was took the knight now, which made it even worse. Okay, and they took with their queen. My best move is to take this, right? Okay, that's what I did. And I've left the lines on here because all of this was very complicated. Here is where they're supposed to, queen to e4 is what it says they're supposed to do. But they did, I guess, the second best thing, or third best thing, which was to bring the queen over here. And that took away most of their advantage. For some reason, there's a huge difference between putting the queen on e4 and putting it on d3. E4 gives them a almost +6, 5.9. But putting it on d3 takes it back to +1 something. Okay, I'm going to turn the lines off and see where the next big jump was. Now here I know it's going to jump in my favor. Okay. Okay, well, it was the very next move, so maybe I shouldn't have done that. It was, I should not have put my knight there, because here it's +1.4 or 3 or 1.1 in that range. But moving my knight here, now what I thought I was doing was attacking this knight because we're still even on material. They can't move that knight to take mine. Their knight is pinned. So I guess the problem with that is that they could take it with their queen, and then if I took back, they would come out ahead a piece there. That's okay. I think I see the problem with that. What should I have done instead? Should I have long castled? Should I have gotten this knight out? Because I mean, this knight's hanging. If I move this knight over here to f5, they can just take it. I thought I was protecting the knight. Maybe am I supposed to just give up the knight at this point? Oh, what about there? Maybe that's what I should have done with it. Maybe I should have put it on b3 because that pawn, their a pawn is not able to take right now. I mean, it is, but then I would win the rook. So maybe that's what I should have done here. Or maybe I should have defended the knight by moving my queen over. Not to take the pawn, because then this knight's not pinned anymore and they could take back. But maybe I should have just defended the knight one of these ways. I'm going to guess it was either one of those or putting the knight on b3, which forks those two pieces. Let's turn on the lines and see if that's what it was. It was none of those. I was way off. Okay. It was e5. The only move that maintains in this range of whatever is e5. So I'm guessing any of the other things that I thought of would have been really bad. I don't know how e5 protects that knight because they could just take with en passant, right? If I had played e5, I think they would have just taken. Yeah, it says, well, their best move is just to take it. Oh, but then I could take that back and that saves my knight. Well, that's not what happened. So let's go back to here. What I played was that, and that gave up a huge advantage. Okay, turn off the lines. Let's go to the next spot where the bar jumps. All right, we found another spot where it jumped a little bit, not as much as the others, but here when I moved my queen over, and I'm trying now to, I think I remember why, it was to keep them from castling. I'm pretty sure that's why I did that. I remember this situation, I think it was this game, because I didn't have anything else to do from here, from this spot. I guess I could have gone there, which would have threatened this pawn, because my rook is back here. I know that this bishop is still trapped. I'm working on ways to get it out. Maybe I should have played g6 in order to put the bishop on g7 and then castle. That was one frustrating part of this game, was that I didn't want to put this pawn here to get the bishop out because they could just take it. But maybe I should have. No, I was going to say if they took, I could take back, but their bishop is right there. So yeah, that was one of the frustrating parts of this game, was that I couldn't get out here. But maybe I should have gotten the bishop out by fianchettoing it. But I thought this wasn't that bad, preventing them from castling this way. I guess they could have castled the other way. I'm going to go back here where it was 0. Oh, I actually had a slight advantage here, so that was almost a 2-point shift. What should I have done instead? Queen to f6. Oh. The only move that maintained my very slight advantage was queen to f6, just directly offering a queen trade. I don't know about that because we're still exactly even on material. If they take, I would take back, but that would allow my bishop out. Very limited places to put it, but it would allow my bishop out. It would also leave this pawn, their c pawn, undefended, which I'm pointing at with my rook right now. So had I gone there, is it their best move to take? Okay, it looks like it is. Only by a very slight margin. Or moving over one are both about equal. If they moved out, if they didn't trade here, then I could force the trade here and pick up an extra pawn. Okay. And if they did trade, I would take back with the e pawn, right? Oh, surprisingly, they're not that dissimilar. Okay, yeah, I would take back with the e pawn, and then it says they would protect their bishop. Rook to b1? No, now it's not saying rook b1. Okay, well, I didn't think of the queen trade. Okay. So here I should have directly offered a queen trade despite us being even on material, and despite that forcing a doubling of my pawns. Also, my pawns would still be grouped into islands, even if this one was up here. And their pawns, these two pawns here are separated from the rest, so they have their pawns in 3 islands. However, I don't know, because that would have made this middle pawn a passed pawn. I guess I would be able to get that with my bishop at some point. Well, let's go on and find the next spot where the bar jumps. I'm going to turn off the lines. All right, that didn't take long. When they pushed their e-pawn forward, I should have probably taken it, is my guess. I probably should have taken it with my queen. The reason I didn't is because I saw when that pawn moved, it got out of the way of their two pieces pointing at my f7 pawn. That's why I pushed up my e-pawn, was to reblock their bishop from hitting on f7 or looking at f7. And then I thought, if they took here, I could take with my bishop and therefore get my dark squared bishop out. And if they tried to push this forward again, that's what I was worried about. Really, after I played e6, I was worried they were going to push this forward one more, which would have required me to take with my king. And maybe that's why it was a blunder to push past here. So I'm guessing I should have just taken it with the queen. I think I should have taken it with the queen. And then if they tried this, I could get out here. I don't know. I'm going to turn on the lines. I should have taken it with the pawn. Really? Okay, that would make me very nervous, because then when they come here, my queen's trapped in the corner. I can't get over here because of my own pawn's in the way right there on d6. When they checked me on f7, I would have to squeeze out here. Yeah, it's saying I should have taken here. Then wouldn't they have... It says that they wouldn't take with their queen. In fact, that would be bad. Really? What would be so bad about that? Oh, that says that would take us to even, but I'm forced here, no other choice. Then they would castle, queenside it says. Okay, well that makes sense. That would line their rook up right here. No, wait, why would they line their rook up right there? Because I have two pieces pointed at that pawn. I would think at this point they would be looking at something like this, which threatens my rook and also threatens mate. How bad would that be? What would I have if they did that? Oh, then I could play rook to c7, which gets the rook out of danger and threatens their queen. And then they would have to drop their queen all the way back there? I'm skeptical. All right, well, I feel like I've lost the plot here. But anyway, what I did was I went past it, and that was a huge blunder. And at that point, yeah, okay, the line does say what I was worried that they should have done, which was push forward, because that would force my king up here, and I would no longer have the opportunity to castle. But they didn't. So let's go on. Okay, we found another spot right here. I have a slight advantage, not quite a -1. It's a -0.6 according to Stockfish. I did forget to turn off the lines, but I turned them off before I saw what it suggested. Okay, I do know why this was a mistake, or at least an inaccuracy. I remember thinking during the game, as soon as I played it, that they would just take the e-pawn. So what should I have played instead? Should I have brought my king forward to protect the e-pawn? I'm going to guess that's what it is. Let's go ahead and click the lines on. Yeah, king to f7. Okay, that one's pretty simple. And when I did play this, though, yeah, it's because they can take the e-pawn. But they didn't. They did that instead, giving me a slight advantage back. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, found another spot here. Here I remember being at a loss. Again, I have a 0.6 advantage, -0.6. And I was thinking about pushing this to kind of blunt their force coming through here. I do know that in a lot of endgames, it's better to make small pawn moves rather than large pawn moves. In other words, throwing the ball back in the opponent's court. And that's what I was thinking here. But apparently I had something slightly better, because that took us to zeros. I can't bring my king any closer. I guess I could have put my king up in here on f6. That would have maintained protection of the e6 pawn. It would have also kept them from immediately shoving that one forward. Well, no, I already had the bishop keeping that from going forward. What would that have done? I guess helped me bring my king out this way. I was kind of worried that they were going to put their bishop out here on b3 and hit this pawn, now that their king is right there protecting that square as well. So maybe I should have pushed that pawn forward. Maybe. But then couldn't they have checked me, and would that have forced me forward? I don't know. Also, I can't get over here to protect this. I guess I can with the bishop. I don't know. But what should I have done here? Click on the lines, king to f6. That's what it says. Okay, well, I mean, in the situation here with 3 minutes left, I wasn't quite sure. But at least it wasn't a huge blunder that gave my opponent a win. It was just It was just an inaccuracy or a mistake that gives them drawing chances again. Okay, turn off the lines. Let's keep going. Okay, we found another one here. My opponent's bishop move here had given me a huge advantage. I pulled my bishop down here. This was my thinking at the time. I do remember this now. Now that I've cleared off a completely passed pawn here, I thought I want to advance this pawn. But they're also about to get this pawn, and then they will be able to advance their own. So I thought I could go ahead and protect that one. But I think I see the problem with that. When I bring my bishop back here to d2 to protect my a pawn, that allows them to get their pawn here out of the way of their bishop, which is guarding my promotion square. So I'm guessing that my best move here was just h4. I'm going to turn on the lines. Yes. Okay. The only move that maintains my -3 advantage was h4. Okay. I got that. Let's go on. All right. Well, right here, my opponent had just given me a -60 advantage. And even though h4 was my best move on the last 2 turns, and I had played it finally, h3 then was not my best move. So I'm going to guess that it is bishop to f4, which is a protected check and re-blockades that pawn. That's what I'm going to guess. Turn on the lines. Yeah, bishop to f4 check. That makes complete sense. In fact, I think I remember seeing that during the game, realizing, oh yeah, because now their king is guarding that spot, they can push this pawn forward protected by their king, and then they're going to get it past. So I should have played that instead. Okay. All right. Well, here's another spot where my opponent's king moved because they didn't play the thing that they should have. They've just given me mate in 27. Well, I'm not going to find a forced mate in 27, and probably Magnus Carlsen isn't either, but they probably would have made the right move here. And I'm just going to look around, and what did I play that was so bad? I played... Okay, I just continued pushing that pawn, and that was bad. I'm guessing I should have brought the bishop back again. Let's turn on the lines here. Yeah, okay. I'm getting better at this. Again, I should have brought the bishop back to keep that pawn from moving forward, which would have their bishop blocking that square. But instead, I pushed that pawn again, and they played the pawn blocking that square. Okay, but I took it with my bishop. The problem is that now they can't get back there. Okay. I mean, that now they can get back there. But I decided to put my king back there. So, because I still have a pawn on the other side. That was my plan here, is that I can get my king there, then promote the pawn. They'll have to take it with their bishop. I will take it with my king. And then I can guard this pawn over here with my bishop until I can get my king over there to get their pawn out. It says I have a -6 here, and they started going for that other pawn. I went down here knowing that I had one more move before I had to get my bishop over there to guard my a pawn. They got there. I brought my bishop down to guard the a pawn, and now it says I have -44. Okay, and that's where they resigned, is when I went there, because their whole plan had been to take that pawn out. But now, if they go toward my bishop, I will put my bishop right there on b4, where the pawn and the bishop will protect each other, and then go ahead with my plan of promoting here, for which they would have to sacrifice their bishop, and I would take. Okay, so there were definitely places that I could have done better in this game. Lots of places, as you saw, but especially in this end game. And most of these were places where I saw what I should have done right after I did it. Now here my opponent was also getting in time trouble. They got down to 5 seconds, but they were kind enough to resign here instead of just running out of time. So, all right, let's go into the second game. Second game, much like the first, started off as a Caro-Kann, and I'm going to turn off the lines here and just go through as I did with the other one until I find a place. But we already saw from the chart that on this one I didn't make nearly as many mistakes. On this one, if I remember right from the little game review graph, that my opponent just gained an advantage and then lost it all, and I had the advantage after that. So we should only find 1 or 2, maybe 3 places in this game. But let's go. Okay, we just found a spot here, and I know what it was. I saw this right after I moved my bishop. Remember these from a few months ago where I missed 3 or 4 of these, and then my opponent missed some of mine in these games? That knight coming out there, that square is protected by the queen. They gave me a free knight, and I missed it. And my opponent saw it a move late as well and protected it with their pawn. Okay, let's keep moving. Okay, this move appears to be at least an inaccuracy, if not a mistake. It went from 0 point something to 1 point something in my opponent's favor. The problem was that their pawns kept pressing down here, so I'm going to back up one. Should I have just put it back behind the line? Should I have tried to take out a pawn? No, because the knight was going to get lost anyway. I shouldn't have gone in there. They would have just taken it. So yeah, I'm going to guess it's back here to d7. Is that what it says? Yeah, knight to d7 would have been better. Oh, but this says knight to g6 is only a few points different. That's not that bad. So an inaccuracy at worst. Okay, turn off the lines and let's keep going. All right, here's another place at which the bar jumped. I think the problem with this move is that not only do they have 3 attackers on that square, I mean, I have 3 attackers on that square as well, but my king is right behind here and their queen is pointed down that way. So that I had something better than e5. I'm going to guess either long castle or taking the knight out there on h4. Nope, it was moving my queen back here. And none of the others. Oh, but e5 was my second best move. What I played was my second best move, and not that far off my best move, according to this. Okay, so I don't feel too bad about that, but I should have just dropped my queen back. I didn't like that much. I mean, they're attacking my queen right now, so yeah, I mean, it makes sense to get my queen out of danger, but then aren't they going to attack this, and then I'm going to end up with this further damaged, well, damaged for the first time pawn structure with my rook trapped in this little hut of pawns that I can't move because I would be defending that pawn with my rook. I don't know. That's what it says. Okay, next spot. Okay, this might be the point at the graph in which my opponent gave me the huge advantage. I remember thinking here when they played that knight move that they had just given me a piece. I could just take it, and I'm threatening this rook with check. I'm threatening a queen trade, and I'm a piece ahead right there when I've taken the knight. If they take me back, I take them back, and I'm a piece ahead, and they're in check with this bishop about to fall. I think that might be the turning point in the game. What they thought they were doing was putting pressure on the pinned piece. I'm pretty sure that's what they thought, because the knight can't move right now. But if I take this knight and they take my queen, then the knight can move my knight, because it wouldn't be pinned anymore because the queen's not on that row anymore. So I don't know, how much time did I spend on this? Okay, I spent almost 30 seconds on that move. I think that was the turning point in this game, and if I made any mistakes after this, I don't think they ever gave the advantage back. And they brought their rook over, which just allowed me to take their queen. I don't know if it's my best move or not. The bar didn't jump that much. They have to take back with their king, and then my knight's not pinned, because their queen's not there. So it doesn't matter if I move my knight now. So I did move my knight. Maybe, I don't know if that was the best place. I remember this part, and I remember castling kingside here. But anyway, we did this because long castling takes away my defense of that pawn. I was willing to give up a pawn at that point because I was a whole piece ahead. And I was also willing to trade rooks here because I was a whole piece ahead, but they got another pawn for it. But I took their rook, and they took mine, and I checked them and picked up another pawn here, and I'm aiming at that pawn, and I'm aiming at this pawn. So I felt in pretty good shape here at this point. Check again. I don't know why I didn't just take the other pawn at that point, but that's what I did. Check. They come in here. Oh, I just remembered something about this game that's a little fascinating. This is a fork here. I'm going to pick up their bishop for free. But let's keep moving, because they didn't have that much of an opportunity to do anything because they only have the one piece. So I'm chasing their king around, picking up extra pawns. By the way, they can't check me here because my knight is guarding that square. They can't come threaten the knight because my bishop is guarding that square. They can't threaten my bishop because my knight is guarding that square. So I was pretty confident here. I just moved forward knowing that that pawn is pinned. They can't take this with the king because my bishop is guarding that. That's the cool thing about having just a whole bunch of pieces left on the board, is your opponent's really restricted. In fact, at this point, I started getting worried about a stalemate. They moved over here, I assume trying to come after my knight this way, or they still can't check on the bottom because my bishop's defending that too. But I thought maybe they were thinking about coming to f7 to get my knight. That doesn't matter. I take out the pawn that's between my rook and their king. They take back. and get my knight out of danger. I'm not sure what that was supposed to do, but it allows me to come after this pawn, and then I can check them here and check them there and win that pawn. And then, oh, they thought, when they played this, I thought, oh, that's pretty good. Like, I was impressed for my opponent, because if I move the knight, they get the bishop. If I move the bishop, they get the knight. Except they forgot that I can just check with one of those pieces and then move the other one. Well, they're running out of squares, so I check them again, and they come down here, and that's mate. They basically just trapped themselves. Oh, when I said I remembered something really cool about the end of this game, I was actually remembering a different game, which I think was on Lichess. And maybe I'll show that one later. But yeah, so this one went pretty well, and it was all that one move there where my opponent gave back the advantage with that knight move, whichever way it was there. Yeah, because they had the +1 here, and they thought they were putting pressure on the pinned piece, but instead they just gave away the knight for free, and I had the advantage for the rest of that game. So anyway, I'm going to cut out those places where I just stared at the board for a while. And these are the games that got me back above 1300. At this point, my goal is not to just crash on through 1400, because clearly I need to work at this range, the lower to mid 1300s. There's still a lot of things that I'm missing, as you saw from these two games and the last few and my puzzle sessions. So I'm going to try to, my goal for the time being, maybe the next month or two, is going to be try to edge closer back to the mid 1300s, 1350 or so, and maintain this area here while improving on some of my fundamentals. I'm still missing some things about pins. I'm still missing some basic tactics. And I'm also missing like which pieces are weak, which squares are weak, and what to do about those things. So I'm going to keep slugging away. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for the supportive and helpful comments, and we'll see you next time.